in the last lecture, we prepared our application for submission to the App Store. We created the store version or the sales page of our app within iTunes Connect all ready to go. We've added in such things as the title, the description, all the screenshots, how much it's going to cost, where is it going to be available in the world. We've added in everything that we need to be displayed within the App Store. All that's now missing within this page that we created in the last lecture, if I scroll down, is now to add the build of it. Now the build is the actual project that we created within Xcode. We're going to submit this to iTunes, then add it to this sales page that we've created, and then go on to submit it for review again to one of the Apple developers who check it out, then ready to release it to the millions of users around the world. Now before we can do this, there's a few things we need to make sure our project has done. We've got ticked off on our checklist before we then go on to submit it. So if we scroll to the very top now and go to our app information, remember we gave our application a bundle ID. Now we just wait for this page to load up. And see, once it loads up, we gave it a bundle ID here, which I can simply copy from down below. So press Command C if you haven't already added that into your project, and then go to jump into our project. And in the project name at the very top here, I'll get rid of our debug area down below. You can see in the bundle identifier, we have it as com.geeklemon.tappyhands, which is the bundle ID we added again within the iTunes Connect and what's displaying on the store page. Now, if you don't have this added in your project just yet, or if you forgot to do it to this point, make sure you head over to your info.plist, and within the bundle identifier, we select this as com.geeklemon and add that in. You can simply copy and paste it in, so you know it's identical. So that's one of the things we need to check off our list when we know we're about to submit our application to the App Store. Another thing we need to make sure as well that the bundle version is set on 1. You can see here. And then going back to our project overview, see the version of the application is also set on 1 because we're submitting version 1. That's what we have set up in iTunes Connect. We need to make sure that also is the correct and the exact same value. Now at this point, you're also going to be needing a developer license. So if you haven't got it anyway, none of the kind of previous steps that we've done so far you would have been able to do. But if you have got your developer license, make sure you've also signed into that within Xcode, and you see within the sign in that my developer account is now all linked up. So if you haven't done that, just go into Xcode at the very top and go to preferences and then go to add in your account. It's a very simple process. All you need to do is log in with your Apple ID and password and it automatically links it all up. It's a very simple and easy process. But once you've got all those all sorted, all we're then going to do is go all the way up to our product at the top here. And what we're going to then do is then simply press the clean button here, which can also be done with pressing the shift button, the command button, and the letter K. So we're going to press that now, and what that's going to do is completely clean our whole project. So it flushes everything out. So when we submit it to the App Store now, we got a clean project. There's no bugs. If there's any errors, any problems, by cleaning it, you get something pop up if there is any problems. But we now know there is nothing there whatsoever. So we're perfectly all good to go. And then what we're going to do is then select it. Rather than on a simulator, we're going to go all the way up to a build-only device, which is a generic iOS device. So by selecting it to a device, this means what we're now about to build is the kind of production version, the sales version of our application. So once it's selected on that, we're then going to head back up to product, where we now have these different versions of options that we're now able to pick. And what we're going to do is then go to archive. So by selecting archive, it's going to then archive this kind of file of our project, which is known as our build, which we then use that to upload it directly to the App Store. So once it's finished archiving, you get this brand new window that then appears. You can see you got our tappy hands up here. You can see you got our version 1.0, and then we got this option here to upload to App Store. Now what this does is uploads it to the App Store, and then we go back into iTunes Connect into the build section. We'll then have the ability to then select that build that we've just submitted to that profile, so we can then send it off to be reviewed by Apple. So all we need to do now then is press the upload button. Is I'm going to find our account because we've already signed in and got it all hooked up. We're going to choose my developer account. And then once we get to here, then we can see it's now all linked up. So we press to upload, and that will begin the archiving process to prepare the file to start then uploading directly to iTunes, where we can then select it as the bundle, link it to the profile that we've just created, and then submit it to review. So depending on how big your application is, this can take some time getting the whole application together, and then depending on how big the application is in size, again, and depending on how good your internet connection is, again, you could see around about 5 or 10 minute wait before the application, the bundle, is all submitted to iTunes Connect. So we'll just wait now then, and once it's finished, we'll then jump back into iTunes Connect and link it all up. So you can now see that it's starting to upload the archive directly to iTunes Connect. So again, this process can take about a good 5-10 minutes, depending on how big the application is and how good your internet connection is too. And there we go. So the upload is now all successful. And again, it can take a little while depending on your internet connection. But once it's all uploaded, we're pretty much done for there. So what we can do now then is jump back into iTunes Connect. And then what we're going to do, back into the prepare for submission section here, we're now going to scroll all the way down to where we had the build section up. So you see all our screenshots are now just loading up. So scroll down to where we got our build section here. And this now, again, this can take a little while. This also can take about 5 or 10 minutes, but just keep refreshing this page, and then you'll notice that at some point next to the build text here, there'll be a little plus symbol. Now again, when we upload to iTunes, it just takes a few minutes for it to actually get there and register that it's there before we are then allowed to use it. So just keep refreshing this page, and once a plus symbol then appears, we're then able to link up our build that we just uploaded to the profile again within iTunes Connect. So we're just going to wait for a second now. Okay then, so now refreshed once more. So hopefully, if we scroll down now, yep, as you can see, we now have the little plus symbol next to the build. And there we go. So press the plus symbol now, which has our complete build. And we select the one that we want to use, which is the only one that we've uploaded. Press done. That then adds that build to our whole profile, which we're now going to press save at the top right. And that's now got all the information that's going to be displayed in the App Store, as well as the actual project, the build, the archive of our application, all now linked up. So all that's left to do then is press submit for review. So we go ahead and press that button, and it'll take us to our next page. We have to answer 3 questions. So is your app designed to use any of these stuff that will kind of cause encryption? Does it display third-party content and stuff like that? So what we're going to select is, for our first one, no. For our second one, no, as it doesn't do any of this stuff. It doesn't incorporate or any encryption, doesn't display any third-party content. And for the third one, advertising identifier. Now, because we have AdMob added into our applications, we do have to toggle this as yes, as it's going to be targeting ads to each of our users. Again, it works off an identifier and it goes based off their search history, so it targets ads for them, pretty much how you see ads normally on the internet anyway. So toggle this as yes, and then we have to go down and answer a few more questions. So this app uses advertising identifiers, and we need to select what it basically does within it. So serve advertisements with the app, that is something that it does. Attribute this app installation to previously served advertisements. Attribute this action taken within the app to previously serve advertisement. So again, that's basically just covering what I just said, where it displays ads based off their search history and stuff like that. So you want to select the remaining 2 of them, and then limit ad tracking setting in iOS. So basically, by one of Apple's kind of rules, you can kind of turn the ability to on and off to have targeted ads anyway from your settings. So you do have to confirm this, and then once you're pretty much all done, we can then go to submit. And we have now just submitted our application for review. So you can now see that the status of it has now changed to waiting for review. And the status and the kind of time scale that we could be looking at for it to be reviewed and accepted is round about between 3 to 5 working days. That's not including weekends. So roughly go off that scale. At most, I've had to wait 2 weeks for an application to be reviewed. It all comes down to a number of things. if your application is quite big, it's going to take a long time to review. If it's quite simple, then obviously the review process will be a lot quicker. Also, it also depends on how many applications they have, submitted for review at that time. So if they've got a huge bulk of applications, then obviously getting to your application can take a few days, rather than if there's only a small. Basically, it depends on the demand that they have that they need to basically then go on to review. So the application is now in review. And when it is approved, if it is approved, then you'll get an email telling you that, it's been approved. It's now available in the App Store. You can then go and download it. Else, if there's any problems with it, then you'll get an email and they'll briefly tell you what's wrong with it and what you need to do to actually fix any of the errors within the project. So if you've built this application almost word for word, you won't have any problems. It'll go through straight away. But if you've done any customization or anything different, anything that you're not sure of, or anything you think that could be a problem, don't worry. Apple, one of the review team, will get back to you and let you know what is going on. But there we go. We've now submitted our full-featured iOS game to the App Store.